the bill to strengthen our Personal Protection Act that we already have in statute. There's 3 provisions in the bill. There's emergency powers reform, which mean the state is not able to confiscate lawfully possessed firearms during a state of emergency, and that only applies during a state of emergency. Number 2, we strengthen the Castle Doctrine statute that we have, and that it helps us to stand our ground. It puts the onus on the criminal and not the victim. We should be able to be someplace lawfully and protect ourselves. And then number 3, we have a universal provision, universal recognition provision, and that allows Minnesotans to defend themselves and their families around the country, and it will exercise our Second Amendment right to carry. And we can get into more detail if you think that's necessary.
The New York Times did an article on Minnesota being the loosest state, basically, for giving guns back to violent felons. And the article is here. It was written by Michael Liu. I think it was September or October, the date. There's 2 articles that were in the New York Times, basically very embarrassing to the state of Minnesota as far as I'm concerned, that we that law was changed about 10 years ago and made it much easier for felons to get their guns back, violent felons. And with that in mind, your bill suddenly becomes even more problematic than it was when it came out of here last year, because we're saying that people that have been violent felons in the past can now also basically shoot people anywhere that they feel threatened by someone. I'm wondering if that's your intent, Senator Hoffman.
Senator Hoffman.
Madam Chair, Senator Goodwin, I'm not aware of the New York Times article, and this bill doesn't protect violent felons in committing a crime. So I don't believe that this bill and that article are. I don't think that there's a relevance there. There's no protection in this bill for violent felons. I mean, if they're breaking the law, they don't have protection under the law. That's in current statute now, and this bill doesn't change that statute.
Does your bill prevent or restrict in any way, in addition to current law, or improve current law so that we can make sure that people that do have guns, violent felons, past convicted violent felons, don't have guns that they can use anywhere to shoot somebody when they feel threatened?
Madam Chair, point of inquiry.
Senator Newman?
Just if you would help me here a little bit. This line of questioning, it seems to me, would be appropriate maybe in a policy committee or on the Senate floor. But this being the Finance Committee, I'm looking at a fiscal note, and I would have assumed that that's what we were going to be talking about, was the fiscal note and the financial impact of this bill on the state of Minnesota. And we are suddenly going right back into the weeds on the policy considerations.
With this new information, it casts a very different light on the bill that Senator Hoffman had heard last year. And when we find out that Minnesota is one of the loosest states in the nation for giving guns back to convicted violent offenders, then I do believe that's something that should be discussed in committee before it goes to the floor. So if you don't want to discuss it in this committee, then I would like to make a motion that we send this back to the Judiciary Committee and have this discussion there. Or we can have it on the floor.
After we finish discussion, if there's any more question about the fiscal impact of the bill, then we will have the motion to move the bill to the floor, and then if Senator Goodwin wants to make a motion to send it to Judiciary with no recommendation, that would be appropriate.